Hello, everyone, and welcome to Art Salon. I'm Ellie Shore, and I've been organizing art salons for about 6 years now. And I find artists from throughout South Florida, people who are significant, influential, respected people in South Florida. And we have a dialogue that goes through each individual art salon, and also as the art salons continue, people get to know each other better and find all kinds of things in common. It's my pleasure tonight to introduce Sibel Kocabasi. I've known her for about 10 years. Sibel is a native of Istanbul who got her bachelor's in fine arts in traditional Turkish arts at Marmara University in Istanbul, and then came to the United States and became much more focused on fine art, got her master's degree in fine art at Florida Atlantic University. Her work is sometimes about the role of women in society, and particularly the role of women in the Middle East. Sometimes the work is about the environment. She's a very passionately, socially engaged kind of an artist. And other times the work is about the whole refugee crisis in the Middle East and the plight, particularly of women being dispossessed from their homes and traveling in misery. But what she does with it is so imaginative and so beautiful. And it's my pleasure to introduce Sibel Kocabasi.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Jerry, inviting me, and thank you all coming tonight. I'm actually born in Troy, but I grew up since 6 years old in Istanbul. And I did study traditional Turkish arts, but before I went to the college, my bachelor in rug and kilim design, I worked with also artistic and took other courses, other side studies. So I didn't realize actually, recently, but when I was preparing this video, I realized how much actually impact my studies in the past, my work today, and how much unintentionally I carried, which is, I tried out during my graduate program, I actually try not to use the traditional influences in my work. I had wanted to try larger or abstract, try away from motifs and designs I study. But also before that, I also worked, I did wallpaper designs, rug designs before I actually went to college, and all kinds of ceramic tile designs, worked on silk scarf designs, unlimited, so worked so many, and those handcraft work until bachelor's 4 years for rug design and kilim design. And then when I came, right after I graduated, I came here and worked various jobs, and I ended up FAU in painting program. So I was considering myself a painter. But years goes by, I wanted to try different elements, different materials, and so far. So I did a little chronologic images I prepared. This is an example of, because when I say I study embroidery design, traditional embroidery design, I didn't actually sew anything, but I did design for 2 years, very intense studies, very technical. When I say traditional studies are really technical. You don't go much far from the patterns, or you don't have much flexibility after you graduate. It's up to you how to express yourself through the skills, but they teach really intense skills. So the embroidery design, actually textile, all kinds in very connected in Turkish art and Turkish lifestyle. from highest palace to the peasants. It was especially, as I put an example, for wedding ceremonies. And in palace, after, I can't remember, maybe early years, I think, early BC, palace had a separate school just for gold embroidery, just for using gold and silver threads. So then I study tesip, which means painting with gold, basically decorating actually letters and books, not just religious books, but also science, astronomy, or poems and stories. So then I were 4 years for rug and kilim design. I did interns in Turkish Islamic Art Museum and some villages with natural dye techniques, including weaving and designing and learning the techniques. So then after I came here, and here I am that was one of my first abstract painting when I was at the colleges. Most of my studies were small size, because really almost working with one hairbrush, kind of really detailed work. So many years. So it was kind of freedom for me, or I can do anything I want. But the problem was I didn't know what I want. So it's like a conflict from very detailed work to find actually who I am, why I'm an artist, what I want to do. It was kind of identity research started for me all of a sudden after I committed to be an artist. So my art and myself grow together almost. So then this is about 80-inch high, and William Morris, I mean, it's nothing to do, but I was influenced by the image, so I want to add it. And as much as I can abstract it, that's what I was trying. And I'm still trying to add the motifs in it, defining my personal style. How can I put my past, or how can I live my past? I was in between how to deal with a new lifestyle here. And this is another one with James Whistler. And this is also high, the diptych piece is oil painting. I mean, I did use oil paint before, but I was using my studio almost as a laboratory, trying to use different techniques and dripping, using powder pigments. All of a sudden, I had all kinds of different materials, just I can maybe find something that will fit with me. This is called Fish Come to Visit the Forest. This is like 120-inch high. And I didn't realize, of course, this is like I used gold powder pigment. So while I'm putting the slides together, I was actually realizing I was interested in gold, but I didn't know until now. So that I was interested also expressing my interest to environmental issues. So that's one of the first pieces. And then I searching different materials after I graduated. This is a collage during the war. I mean, when the Iraq War, the Middle East War, I should say. So this is collage, and also I painted as well. And so I am interested, still mixing ideas, but in the meantime, start searching about women. They have traditionally women's life. They keep the tradition and pass each other females. This is actually the photographs I took at a Roman village in Aegean side in Turkey. So they had weaving looms and lifestyle, still almost from Roman architecture, were still there, and they were living very traditionally. I took the photographs myself, so later I just try to express in a different way, going back to seeing these places. Then I had series of animals. Those are oil paintings, actually small. Yes, those are small paintings and series of animals. I mean, I'm still carrying with me to work on environmental issues or problems. It's not even issue, it's reality now. Because I didn't actually study Western style realistic figure paintings or drawings. I didn't study that at all. I thought to myself, basically, I mean, I went to college. Yes, you have to pass tests and everything, but we didn't study in my department. That's title Your Father. Again, I think gold was once in a while popped in my work. And these are also oil. I continue using oil for, recently, last couple of years ago, I stopped using oil. These are actually two different pieces. Actually, my friend modeled for me, and she's here, Lucia. So my friends really supported me, and I moved, and other things were going in my life, and I was looking some kind of different, what can I do? And actually digital cameras made our lives really easier. So I started express myself or start trying different material, and I was shooting toys and whatever I can find at home. Then I decided to use actual model. So this is called domestic victim Helen. And this is Marta. Around at that time, I am in Istanbul, and I find myself in the middle of the uprising. That was very intense and very emotional. You feel like you will rescue the world when you are there. I was there for a couple of, maybe a week, and actually being there. When I came back, it's almost like hitting the glass door. So it's like the energy was so high, and I come here and quiet, beautiful Florida. So I continue expressing myself here in Florida in a beautiful weather. So this is a collage I did. I didn't even stick, actually. This photograph, I left it in the technically, I should explain. And it was a magazine piece, and I left it outside accidentally, and it faded out. So I love the effect, and I bring it back to studio, and I use it for both of them, actually. They were faded under rain, under sunlight. This is after Istanbul, Turkey uprising. Mm-hmm. Just because I came from that heavy emotional environment, but I also was like, all of a sudden, what if something happens in the world, and the world gets so, I don't know, wars, because you feel the energy. And I actually bought one mask, gas mask. So I have one, just in case if something happens. And I asked my friend to model for me also. Then, this was kind of my direction change after this piece. My friend came from Cambodia, and she's a dancer, and she's Turkish. But I got burqa from another person, just gave me as a Halloween costume, actually. So my friend comes, and we didn't have much time, and I said, I have burqa, and she's, okay, can I see it? And she wore it, and she went outside, and she started dancing. So that was kind of changing point in my whole work. It affected in my whole work, rest of until today. I don't know the direction from now, but. So she started dancing. This is J Street, this is Dixie Highway. It was noontime, you can see it was so hot. It took, everything was in 15 minutes, not even 15 minutes. We spent maybe 10 minutes and my camera was not ready. I just pulled everything and I walked outside. Everything just happened. It was actually happening. It's a couple of pieces came out good. She's a Buta dancer, if you're interested. Check in what kind of dance she was doing, Buta dance. This is called Money Makes Art, and galvanized wires with penny. And this is my first 3D piece I did. I was invited to an exhibition in Miami. So I think the projects motivates me. Most of my work changed during the projects. When I was invited for a subject, different titles, so it kind of pushed me to make something different. So this is the first piece, 3D piece I did. I think it's 2010. Then I continue the circles. This is probably 80-inch oil paint. And these are all I just brush, that's it. So I wanted to show the detail, I guess there's so much skill, because I took calligraphy also. But the oil is different than ink. It's much intense. Dense, yeah. Then I continue. Yeah, this is, I don't know if you remember, in the Vietnam War, her name's Kim Phuc. That's also oil. In the meantime, yes, I want to express. I'm looking for subjects, but I can't resist. I still love making designs and patterns. So it's part of my work. And I selected some of the pieces. These are totally freehand, no, just start from middle with brush. I don't calculate, no pencil drawing at all underneath. So there's some kind of satisfaction in that painting so detailed, almost. So the circle continue, and this is like dripping techniques. I was using some, that's also a small piece. Then, so these are also small pieces, and all, starting with global warming, using pattern, figurative or non-figurative pieces. So this is I abstracted, but it's the broken ice as well. And then I think after this, I start using acrylic. This is also large painting. And then gold leaf again comes to my life and continue abstract pieces. I was invited, and also I curated at that time an exhibition about women. So what influenced me for this project, again, in the beginning I was saying how women follow the tradition to next generations, but also sometimes, yes, they do, but also they are stuck. And this is called, in Turkish, called tarli düz kadını kızal, which means when you buy a field, buy flat, when you buy a girl, buy virgin. So it's so important that traditionally, some regions in the world, the girls must be virgin. So they totally losing their values and almost worthless in some of the cultures, which is where I'm coming from mostly, right? So I have some pieces in there. I mean, but black also became kind of, fabric after she's dancing became part of, I start using symbolically how much we are hiding behind fabric, how much, we are using in many ways, fabric is a part of our lives. But how we use it, the color, how it affects our perception, how much it changed everything, because of the information. So also, it drove me to work on the subject. When I was in Istanbul, there was a group of women actually were marching and with burqas and supporting how burqa is freedom for women. So that was yes, the culture has a lot of pressures and a lot of difficulties, but when we are in it, we think a whole world lives like that. When we are in it, so the woman, doesn't matter woman or man, so we are like woman's right, man's right, but actually I believe we are all human. So when you're in it, you believe it. So lots of women are there, they believe it. I grew up with a conservative mother, so she believed it. It's nothing wrong. So it's like, yes, they believe it. And I think what amazes me, this time of the era we are living with technology through internet, so maybe it will take time. Human is not easy to change. It takes years and thousands and millions of years to change. Probably we will change. But I think it's not women should be more powerful. We should respect each other, and they should respect themselves. I think we should respect ourselves as a human who we are, and it doesn't matter woman. But unfortunately, this time is not working that way. So then I did this series. So then this is for my first installation at the Cultural Council in Lake Worth. A clean kitchen is a sign of a good life. It was actually a large piece, and I was actually designing something different, but my studio is small and just circumstances. I had to shrink it, and everything came in the front, all the kitchen utensils. They are plastic, most of them. And then I hung from the top. Yes, restaurants, most chefs are men, but kitchen belongs to women in almost every culture. So sometimes forced, and sometimes when early age lots of women are taught by their mothers, which is comfortable with mother to teach their daughters to how to use kitchen. So it becomes part of routine, part of their conversation, how they teach to their daughters. So kitchen, I think, is the big part of our lives, and mostly for women. Because it's like how you cook, how you serve, it's all valued in many cultures that if you can't, you fail. Yeah. And the series also I photographed, and same wall, I went back to the same wall, and I staged the photograph. This time it was, other one was very spontaneous. So again, their conversation, the female conversation with each other. Sometimes sacred, sometimes emotional, but sometimes, do we really hear each other? What are we teaching each other? And also, I'm doing, you have to do too. Here, there's a force, because this is what I learned, you have to learn. I mean, here, the fabric is not because yes, maybe she's forcing her to cover her hair as well, but also is forcing the idea of she should demand to the other, what I say. Sometimes it's comfortable being inside the traditional, right? It's like you don't want to take out. It's kind of you're out of the group, and it's sometimes very comfortable and go with the flow. What everybody says, you continue. Otherwise, you will be in trouble as a girl, right? So this was the comfort and the tradition, but still there's possibility to come up. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the tradition. We should keep the tradition, but keep the respect as well, I believe. The tradition, actually, we just had Christmas. I'm not religious, but I enjoyed it. It's beautiful. And so the traditions are good, beautiful, and sensitive, emotional. But I think if it gets forced, violent, then we should reconsider, see where our traditions are going. That's at Lakeport Beach. Because also I was invited an exhibition during the summer. So my work was black, using black fabric. It was kind of like, I put everything, I'm like, this is dark. It's not going to fit with Florida weather during the summer. So I manipulate the photographs, but I enjoyed it after. It added something different. This is a painting, the series of a diary series I did, and also later we look like each other. The whole series I named. This is for child brides. Traditionally they cover with red. Child bride is very common. Selling girls still common. And you don't believe, but it's still common in America, in many states. If you research about it, it's not like they don't do maybe so much ceremonies in the Middle East, but it's very common. And the child brides and getting the dowry when the wedding happens. So this is the series I showed this at the Pompano Art Center. These are small pieces I painted. So the titles are The Women Are Speaking, and I didn't put all of them, but it's already enough. So these are small paintings, like about 12 by 12. I use photographs. Some of them I took myself, photographs. Some I collect from other sources. I mean, even the photographs I was using fabric, I also wanted to bring that feeling to my paintings also. So I start adding fabric in my paintings. This is supposed to be, we are beautiful. I mean, using the pattern, bring the pattern and fabric, I think I start feeling comfortable with me, and finally I was like, express myself, and also I can use my skills in the same time. This is a 2-panel, about 120-inch painting, also acrylic, called Hair. That's also my beautiful model here, Aija. When she came, her hair was much, a little bit longer. So I was like, just come and stay here, because the hair is sin. and somehow hair must cover hair. So I wanted to reverse and bring the hair rather than face. And I still don't understand how it's possible that woman can believe that hair is sin to not show it, and support that and defend that. So that's why I'm going back again to pointing. We should maybe teach each other, women. Not, I think fear comes first from religious base, but then also traditionally, the fear, you must do it. So again, I manipulate those photographs during the summer, and I like the effect. It's not as just so heavy. It took the heaviness, I think, I was feeling, because maybe I am feeling that was so heavy because subject is heavy, and it's but while I'm working, it was like kind of emotional for me, going back to woman subject, because I grew up with very traditional mother, so I know, but I never had to cover my hair, but still, being in the environment, living in the cities and countries, so you know what does that mean. So it's like women are in denial, right? So then I was also invited for an installation show. This is called Throwaway Culture, but this is my first attempt at the Fat Village. So my design didn't really work, and it worked. Yeah, it worked, and a band, and it didn't reach what I was actually thinking. So I had another opportunity to do it at the Pompano Art Center. These are sod, and I placed plastic bottles in it. This is when I install it. This is the after. It shrinked about 25-inch. And it dried after a month. I was interested in the scale, the size, to make the effect, to understand how much is like almost plastic fossils. They are not going away. They will stay underground. But it was interesting using live material. And I mean, I wish I could record from the beginning to the end, but I didn't have equipment, and I had idea, but I couldn't do it. It will be interesting, the filming every day, shooting the photograph, so, and archiving. As the details of plastics. And then this piece called Asylum Seeker, that's also at Fat Village. The exhibition was current politic issues. So then, around at that time, refugee crisis started. I couldn't focus what's happening here. I mean, I am following news, but a while ago, before I did this installation, there was a news in Turkey, an Aegean side, a city, they manufactured life jackets filled with sponges in it, and they sold, I don't know, over 1,000 or over 100 pieces. They sold the refugees, and they all sunk and died. So when I was invited with this exhibition, the first thing in my mind, I have to do something with this. So that piece for their memory, I made it. And I shot the video at the Lake Worth Beach. And I was lucky to find used life jackets. Some of them actually were from Iran. Some of them were from Cyprus. And then after, I continue the refugee pieces. And my gold came back because when I was searching about, of course, I am not there. I am an immigrant, but I am not refugee. I didn't left my country with force. But it was such a shame for the world. We watched in our TVs or news, we couldn't do anything. We watched this crisis, the people dying, crossing the water. And interestingly enough, when they arrived, they were giving survival blankets, and they're all gold and silver, amazing material. Going through the photographs, I was amazed. I started collecting those photographs online. But later, when I did another exhibition in Texas, and actually we're very close in the Mexico border, they didn't know I'm sure some people know, but majority, in general, they were like not recognizing the emergency blankets because different culture, because they didn't have probably emergency blankets in Syria. When they arrived to Europe, it became iconic image. So it was that's also regional material, but maybe now more common. So I use gold leaf, comes back my work. These are just sleeping people on the streets, on the sidewalks during their journey. Then I also want to use the fabric again. If fabric is the rug, part of everyone's life. But in traditionally also the old civilizations carried with them before concrete invented, they were the nomad cultures, which is the Turkish culture were nomads before they settled Anatolia. They weave tents, and their homes were from textiles. So blankets, Native American culture also symbolically been used in many, many cultures, rugs and blankets. So then a friend of mine was actually moving, and that mess, she was like, I'm sorry, it's so messy. I'm like, can you model for me? So we used the gold leaf on her face. After I did this project, I find out there's a group of people called Pomak in Bulgaria. Traditionally, they cover their face, a bride's face, with gold, and then the wedding night, the groom takes the pieces from her face. So it's like she's here. I didn't know about that, but it's interesting because my background is Pomak, my grandfather. So there's also like emotion. She's emotional, she's sensitive, but I think there's a pride, and also there's confidence in the background, like it's okay. There's a confidence, and her eyes are closed behind the gold leaf. There's faith in it, I think. So this is the one of the last piece I made it. I try to think about how this whole came together, but I don't remember how I started. I find the rug first, and I was going to cut in pieces, but then I couldn't. It was beautiful. It's an 80 years old rug. I didn't know if I sent the image to one of my professors in Istanbul, so they said, yeah, this is the 80 years old Balıkesir, the kilim from Turkey, actually. So then I did the sewing on it with emergency blankets. I cut them in pieces, and I did the sewing. So here, two children are sleeping. So the rug has its own story. I mean, it's an old, 80 years old rug, and meeting with gold blankets is very disposable. It's practical and is invented during NASA research, and it all has its own story, almost like collage and mixing two stories together. And I added my own story in it. So there's a lot of the, I don't know if that kilim could talk, will be a lot to say, right? And also it worked. The color was perfectly. It was a dark background and gold popped in it on top of it. And I use black to bring some kind of contrast, more than anything inside, because there's no black used. And then she's here again. Now, I think it's here more like I was going far from a woman as a victim. So it's more, yes, it's okay, we can do it type of attitude. And I displayed a pattern behind. Remind me the movie Hair, but I didn't intentionally did that. So then this piece called Plastic Berg. I collect these plastic bottles through my friends and neighbors in a couple of months. So this is the first exhibition. I think is that my second attempt gets better for some reason, because I tried and this is I projected water on the plastics. But second one, this is displayed in the West Palm Beach at the white space. I put LED lights in it, each of them. And some of them I finished and close to the end. Some of them didn't have, so accidentally I was like, I'm glad I didn't have enough. So, and it's actually hollow inside, and that's why it became more larger. And actually this lake I learned after, this was the West Palm Beach drinking water lake, the city water. And this is my last installation, was in March. And this was actually, and all night they were, yes, glowing all night in my parking lot. So I'm in a group show at the Box Gallery. It's opening Saturday. And I'm also having a solo show at SE Campus, curated with Carla Walter, in February 12th. And so far, this is what I've been doing. Thank you for being here.